We are back with you live once again on another Johnny Torch live broadcast. Late night edition. Late night edition is not very different from our afternoon editions, but welcome if you are here. And let's face it, there's nobody else streaming right now, right? As far as I know, nobody else is streaming. Nobody noteworthy is streaming right now that I know of. So I'm the only game in town. There you go. There's no other reason than there's that. And of course, if you are not watching this live, well, thank you for tuning in whenever you do, no matter who, what, or where you be. When you be here with us, you're one of the cool kids. You've taken your first step away from the kids' table and joined us who are of the matter born. I don't know where I was going with that, but that's pretty good for improvisation. Welcome to the show. Now, why am I doing a late night show? Well, I felt like I didn't get to all the stories that I originally had planned for yesterday's broadcast. We had, let's see, we had about 2 more stories that I was supposed to get to yesterday when we were doing yesterday's broadcast, and I didn't get to them because we were hitting an hour mark, and, I don't want to be gabbing all night. The Chris Pratt topic there has kind of dominated the show, so I kind of went on along with that, so I didn't get to the other stories I had, so we saved them for tonight. And I found a couple other things to talk about, pad the show a little bit. And as I said, if you didn't catch the last show, that, of course, we're not going to do a Saturday broadcast next week because it's Halloween. So you get a bonus one today. How's that grab you? Okay, so first off, if you saw the broadcast yesterday, I was fumbling around trying to get my website on screen. I couldn't do it. It was the weird mirror effect, the mirror from hell type looking thing. I don't know how I managed to get it to work this time. But we're going to look at the updates of my website right now. I'm sure that's going to thrill many. But yeah, we've done all we could here to try to spiffy up the website. This is the cover, of course, of the book we're doing now, which is The Family Jewels, which is out for publication now, finally, at last. And here we go. This is the place to purchase any of the issues that we have in the canon. You could check out Indie Planet. We've got Indie Planet buttons all over the joint in the website. But these are more important to me. These are the ones I'm pushing. We've got Bullets Bourbon #1, the collection, remastered, recolored, relettered. We've got Bullets Bourbon, the Chronicles is what we're calling the graphic novels. So Bullets Bourbon Chronicles #2, Knock on Wood, which is the issues 2 and 3. Put together in one graphic novel. Also, of course, remastered coloring, remastered lettering, and so forth. #3, When the Night Comes, that is our issues 4, 5, and 6, remastered as well and recolored partially and relettered. And then, of course, the latest issue, which is issue #7, The Family Jewels, as you saw the cover a moment ago. We have that one ready and raring to go for you for purchase. Of course, as I always say, if you get them through the website, I have a little bit of a discount on them. You get them a little bit cheaper. Also, you will get them hand-signed, not foot-signed, hand-signed, and autographed, so to speak. And like I said yesterday, I have some goodies left over. I'll try to, depending on the size of the order, I will be exceedingly generous with whatever goodies I have left. I have some stickers, I have some magnets. I have posters. They're kind of hard to ship, so I kind of just give them away at live appearances, which not too many people actually ask for. I guess the posters didn't go very well, so I didn't order any more, but I still got some if anybody wants them. You can specify that, I suppose, in your request. All right, so also briefly, I want to give thanks to everyone who came out to see me at the Flea Market Con, which I guess we can dub that this year's Flea Market Con because nothing else was open. So thank you for that. Let's take a look here at the remastered Heroes section. We've got updated images. I didn't update any of the copies, so if you've read this before, it's going to pretty much be the same thing that you saw before. But yeah, newly colored, newly updated images. Let's see. These are our heroes in the heroes section, heroes category. Some of it was still difficult. Like, for instance, there's like black lettering on certain parts here when it was supposed to be like teal. I don't know why that happened, but I tried and I couldn't fix it, so it's staying. Let's take a quick look at the villains. Again, new images. They're better colored. And we've got some new villains down here that I haven't written the copy for as of yet. But be sure to check back periodically. And I'm sure I will get to that probably in a week or so. These are our new villains. And especially the fruit salad mob, the apples here, the left and the middle. We didn't even really talk about the names of these characters yet. And if you buy the family jewels, you will get to know Adam Apple, who is the character on the left here, who's the head of the crime family. His son over here to the right, he's in the middle. We haven't revealed his name yet, but whenever I get to doing the copy here, we will reveal his name. He's the heir apparent to the fruit salad mob. And of course, over here, we also have Tom Ado, who is the consigliere to Parsnip Top, the vegetable garden gang's Don. And he becomes quite a player in this story. But we are not going to divulge any plot points right here. But if you want to check it out, this is the place to be. You'll find a link in the description below. And let's see what else we've got here. We've updated the rivals and citizens area where we've updated the coloring, updated the images, try to make it a little more clear and concise. And yeah, that's a lot more neat looking than it was originally. And the free preview, we've updated the free preview too. This was last week. I was busy all Sunday doing this. So you will be able to read count them, 3 preview pages for the Family Jewels, which will explain some of the plot here and what's going to happen. This is the tense meeting with Veronica and Carrot Top, and of course the shootout in the museum, the Stark City Museum of Rare Antiquities. And there's a shootout here where Bullets takes place, which again is very exciting, but I try not to give too much away. It's a 20-page issue, so I've been sort of judicious in what I'm showing, but trust me, there is plenty of action, plenty of suspense and thrills for your entertainment value. I honestly forget what I have this priced as, so I can't go. The newest issue, I believe, is $5. I'm not sure about that. If I look it up, I'll let you know. And then we go to the contact page. This is where you can contact yours truly via email or via email. And you can check out also here, this is what is to come in issue 8 of The Adventures of Bullets Bourbon Private Eye. And as you see, Bullets is about to meet Veronica, the dangerous beauty, who of course is in league with Carrot Top, introduced in issue 7, but she becomes a main player in issue 8. So that is it. That is the tour of the Bullets Bourbon Comics website, and I took great pains to see if I could get this updated and looking very nice, very spiffy, so that you'll have a nice, neat little place to go to check out Bullets Bourbon Comics. As I said, you can get all the back issues that were not remastered on Indie Planet, as we have the button right here. Bring it to your attention. And, of course, you could buy them straight from the website via PayPal. And if I remember correctly, let's see, issue 7 is $5. Issue 1, the graphic novel, is $7. $8 for the number 2 Bullets Bourbon graphic novel, and number 3, When the Night Comes, is $10. if you go to Indie Planet, you can get these issues digitally. So that is still an option, but I'm not offering the digital through my website. So be sure to check out Indie Planet if you want that. And the pricing is similar. A lot of times, a lot of people try to make the digital copies much cheaper, and I kind of did that at the beginning. But to be honest, I'd rather you have the hard copies. I got into comics to sell hard copies, not really to sell digital, but I still want that option open to you if that is what you like. All right, so with that out of the way, I'm sure everyone was thrilled and entertained. I'll make the spiel brief. Don't worry about it. We're already going 11 minutes here. But like, share, and subscribe as the ticker bids you do. Check out our Twitter page and the link in the description as well. Be sure you sub and let me know that you've subbed. I'd be much appreciative, as well as I'd be happy to sub back if you have an active channel. And leave a comment below. I read all the comments and address them usually in a mailbag segment of an upcoming Torch News Roundup. Now, this, of course, is a Torch News Roundup, Roundup number 189. So we've got a couple of things to talk about here, and we are going to do so right now. All right, let's see. What's the first topic I have up here? Let's see. Alrighty, Creed III. Creed III is in the news. Now, to be honest, I am not a huge fan of the Creed series. I thought the first one was okay at best. Second one was better, but I think the problem was they treated it the same way the Last Jedi sort of was treated, which was, this is the next generation. We're not supposed to be too concerned with what Rocky's doing, even though this is the natural spin-off of Rocky. And, that's kind of why we're interested in Creed, is because of Rocky. So you really can't divorce the storyline from Rocky entirely. But it felt like they sort of pushed him to the side. They brushed his storylines off and left a lot more time for Adonis, which, again, is not a bad thing since he's the protagonist, but it wasn't as interesting. I mean, seeing him try to train while, his daughter was napping wasn't as interesting as the off-screen meeting of Rocky and Apollo's wife that he hadn't seen in 35 years or whatever it was. That's what I mean. A lot of the best stuff was on the cutting room floor. There was another altercation, I believe, between Rocky and Drago. Ivan Drago and Rocky Balboa left on the cutting room floor. They only get really one meeting in the film. And again, that's the disappointment. That's kind of where The Last Jedi went wrong, was, well, we can't focus our attention on what people want to see, such as Luke Skywalker getting off his duff and doing something. So, lest I continue on, let us get to the copy. Now, Michael B. Jordan is in talks to direct Creed III. Now, we heard some talk from Sylvester Stallone that he is probably done with the Creed franchise. He was brought back by Ryan Coogler, who couldn't come back for Creed II because he was busy doing the Black Panther. And now, apparently, I suppose he's doing the Black Panther 2 still, even though, of course, the untimely passing of Chadwick Boseman leaves that storyline in doubt. It's questionable what they're going to do with it. Apparently, still, though, the show must go on. Now, I really think that, honestly, they probably could leave Creed where we left him in Creed 2. I don't necessarily think, and I'm a person who likes sequels. I think unless, there's always probably more to say with any storyline. You could pick up some kind of thread from Creed 2, but there really isn't a whole lot left unsaid. Rocky's reconciled with his family for probably, what is it, the third time or the second time? There's not much more to tell with Rocky's story, and I think Sylvester Stallone is already said that he's not going to come back. He's kind of got a project on the back burner of another Rocky film where, of course, he won't be boxing, but to continue that story, Rocky is going to train another protege. And part of the problem is, I think, that they kind of cut Stallone out of Creed II. They didn't let him direct. Of course, he wrote it, which is why it was a pretty strong effort. But they pushed him out of the directing spot. He's not going to write this next one, apparently. So it's kind of up in the air what they could do with the Creed franchise from here on out. I think the reason why it's been as successful as it's been is the fact that it's tied to the Rocky saga. Everybody wants to see what's going on in the life of Rocky after all these years. And there is very few remaining characters to latch onto. Paulie passed in between movies. Of course, Adrian before him. And we already did the story with Drago. I don't really know what could be gained by going back to the Drago family for another movie. I mean, they could pull a Rocky 3 and have Drago join forces with Adonis or something. I don't know. I think it's stretching a little too far to try to bring Clubber Lang back or his children or something. So I don't really know what's in the cards for a Creed 3. If you have any idea what you'd like to see in a Creed 3, let me know in the comments below. But as far as the copy here, let me read it. Michael B. Jordan is in talks to direct Creed 3. The third installment is set to work off the success of the first two installments, which grossed $173 million and $214 million, respectively. Jordan has confirmed numerous times that he'll be returning for the third movie, though a timeline is yet to be revealed. In February of this year, it was announced that Zack Balin had been brought on board to write the screenplay. Coogler directed 2015's Creed, while Stephen Caple Jr. took over on Creed 2. It looks now like Michael B. Jordan could end up making his directorial debut with Creed 3. Now, of course, he hasn't directed anything, but I imagine a lot of actors, they keep their eye on the director, and they kind of know what the director does because they work closely with them. I don't think this should be a problem for Jordan. He should be able to step into this role pretty well. The news comes from a new report about MGM and their future plans. Let's see. Michael B. Jordan starred in the two previous Creed installments. He was offered a shot at directing Creed 3 back in 2018, when longtime Rocky franchise producer Irwin Winkler spoke about the offer in his book, Life in Movies, Stories from 50 Years in Hollywood. The book reads, "I promised Michael B. Jordan that he'd get his chance to direct Creed 3. Last year, meaning 2018, in a conversation with our Creed star, Michael B. Jordan, I offered him the opportunity to not only star in, but also direct Creed 3. So, yeah, the copy goes on, but that pretty much is the story there. Like I said, I think he could probably handle it. A lot of actors have made the transition very well, and I don't see why it should be any different on Michael B. Jordan's case. Like I said, though, I am kind of questioning how interested people are going to be with a lack of Sylvester Stallone or Rocky characters. I don't really know if Creed works without Rocky, because it's an outgrowth of the character Rocky. So I'll be very interested in seeing it. I'll be the first to see it, but I really don't know where they could go from here. So yeah, well, let me know what you think in the comments below if you are interested in Rocky-less, I should say, Creed 3. All right, so let's see. Next up, an interesting story here. We have Scarlett Johansson's next project, apparently, and again, this is in keeping with Halloween, our Halloween theme. She's going to be a new bride, the Bride of Frankenstein, apparently. Now, if you remember, a few years ago, Universal had these big plans for making a Universal horror franchise, sort of to pick up where the classic one left off in the 40s, where we would have crossover events between the Wolfman and Frankenstein, and Dracula and the Wolfman, and the Mummy would meet Frankenstein and whatever. Those kind of things fell by the wayside, though, with the failure of the Mummy. And I think uh, I can't remember the guy's name. The guy from No Country for Old Men. He was supposed to be, I think, Frankenstein, and that fell through. And then there was Johnny Depp was going to play the Invisible Man. That fell through. And the Invisible Man was made this past year, but it had nothing to do with a franchise, and it kind of also fell by the wayside. So let's see here. So, what are your thoughts here about Scarlett Johansson playing the Bride of Frankenstein? This is kind of unusual. I mean, I'm sure that there's going to be an outcry of people who are upset that a real reanimated corpse is not playing the role of the bride. Because don't they do that with everything? They complain about everything that Scarlett Johansson does. You know, she did what? Ghost in the Shell, and she played a robot that they were not pleased that she played. I don't know. It's just craziness. But let's take a look at the copy. Here we go. Universal's planned reboot of The Bride of Frankenstein may have stalled, but it sounds like Apple and A24's new Scarlett Johansson-led feature will be heavily influenced by the horror classic. The highly in-demand Black Widow actress, which we still haven't seen the movie, by the way, which I'm pretty upset about. It's going to be, what, February now? What are they waiting for? They're waiting for people to go back to theaters, I understand, but, you know, at some point they got to pull the trigger and just let these movies in. Let them in theaters. ScarJo has signed on to star in The Bride, which has acclaimed filmmaker Sebastian Lillo on board to direct. He will also co-write the script with Lauren Schuckler Bloom and Rebecca Angelo. That kind of is telling. They got two women writing it, who are currently working on Blumhouse's The Wolfman remake with Ryan Gosling. So again, this is what they're doing now. They're doing these highfalutin movies based on the classic Universal characters that have nothing to do with the stories. This movie is going to have as much to do with The Bride of Frankenstein as the Invisible Man movie recently had to do with the Invisible Man, the classic Universal film. And that's the problem. You know, you can't just use these names and then try to make a whole new story. That's not going to be successful. Anyhow, let's finish the copy here. The plot will follow a woman created to be an ideal wife, the singular obsession of a brilliant entrepreneur. When she rejects her creator, she's forced to flee confined existence. It should say to flee her confined existence, confronting a world that sees her as a monster. It is on the run that she finds her true identity, her surprising power, and the strength to remake herself as her own creation. So this sounds kind of weird. I don't know. Does this mean they're going to try to make her look like the Bride of Frankenstein? Because I thought from pretty much the, from the synopsis here, I thought that maybe she was just going to be normal looking, and it was just going to be sort of like this dark fish out of water take. I'm not sure, but it doesn't really sound. They're trying to call her a monster. I don't know. Johansson will also produce the film alongside Jonathan Lay through their These Pictures banner. It is long overdue for Bride to step out of the shadow of her male counterpart and stand alone, said the Avengers Endgame star. Working alongside Rebecca Angelo and Lauren Schucker Bloom, Sebastian and I are extremely excited to emancipate this classic anti-heroine and reanimate her story to reflect the change we see today. So again, this doesn't sound particularly exciting. I mean, let's be honest here. The Bride of Frankenstein only exists because Frankenstein exists. How do you do a story about the Bride of Frankenstein without Frankenstein? That's the obvious first question. The second question is, if you're going to do the Bride of Frankenstein, there really is very little previous material to go by. In the movie Bride of Frankenstein, which I watched last night, as a matter of fact, the bride only shows up for a generous 5 minutes. Being generous, 5 minutes. And she's mute and really doesn't have any kind of character or story arc or anything. Now, you could go from there and try to do something. But again, they're not going to do Frankenstein first. So to see where they go with the bride, it's, you know, it's kind of like you've taken the roadmap away and you're just starting with something completely new. And if, as I always say, if you're starting with a completely revamped concept, just do something new and don't even call it Bride of Frankenstein if that's what this is supposedly going to be called. Let's see. All right, so yeah, that's about it. So what do you think? Do you think Scarlett Johansson, Bride of Frankenstein? I don't know. I'm curious, but I am not holding out an awful lot of hope. So there we are. All right, so next up, let's see. We've got some more news in the MCU since we're talking about the lovely Black Widow. Let's see. The MCU's Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Yes, that has finished filming. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings was supposed to be released next February, but the movie was pushed to May, and now, with Black Widow taking that spot, we can look forward to seeing the Master of the Martial Arts make his big screen debut July 9th, 2021. Okay, so they moved Black Widow down to May, I guess, according to this. And now Shang-Chi is in July. I'm actually looking forward to Shang-Chi because, as I said, my problem with the post-Endgame world is I'm not really interested in any of these characters. I don't really care a lot about Captain Marvel and what they're going to do with, you know, Ms. Marvel and the second stringers, actually the third and fourth stringers now. They killed off or aged up or aged out all the main players. So all we've got left is like the B team, which is, you know, comprised of Doctor Strange, you know, Scarlet Witch, stuff like that, which is fine, which is cool. But beyond them, there really isn't anything left. We got Shang-Chi, who is, let's be honest, a D-lister. I wouldn't even put him in the C list. I think he's a D-lister, but I'm curious to see what they can do with him because, you know, I remember him vaguely in the comics in the past, and it was an interesting character. And of course, they are promising to bring the Mandarin, the real Mandarin, in, which of course, that's a whole mixed bag with me. I don't know. The Mandarin should have fought Iron Man. Of course, we lost that opportunity. But politics and political correctness reigns supreme. Let's see. Recently, shooting moved from Australia to San Francisco, and director Destin Daniel Cretton has now confirmed that it's a wrap on the highly anticipated Marvel Studios release. This means the studio now has 2 completed movies in the bag, and one that's moving into the post-production stage. Whether we'll get to see them as planned in 2021 remains to be seen. That's a gruesome thought. We might not even be able to go to the movies in 2021. Dear Lord. It seems like Disney Plus releases are off the table for the time being, though that could change following the news that Disney is shifting its focus to the streaming platform moving forward. As for Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, we don't really know what to expect. However, the real Mandarin will finally make his Marvel Cinematic Universe debut, and it's believed there'll be some sort of fight tournament Shang-Chi competes in to get his hands on those titular 10 rings. I don't know about that, but, you know, it's still interesting. It's still interesting. I'm curious. How is this going to go? How do you think this is going to go? Is this a pretty good idea? I don't know. I'm excited. I'm excited to find out. All right, so let me know what you think in the comments below about the Legend of the Ten Rings and Shang-Chi. And we will move on now to our final story. Well, this isn't a story. Let me mention this first. Apparently, we got a new look at the entire cast of the Suicide Squad. The Suicide Squad being on Empire Magazine's cover. And yeah, I don't know the names of all the characters here. I don't remember them. I've read them before to you. There's the Thinker on the top left, Weasel's up there, King Shark, obviously, Captain Boomerang. Harley Quinn, of course, and Bloodsport. Yeah, so I'm gonna try to check out this cover on the newsstand, as they used to say, and I'm still looking forward to this movie. But again, I hope they're not going to they're going to R-rate it up. Hopefully, at least I've always been a huge proponent of doing an unrated DVD release or Blu-ray now, I suppose. Then you can throw in whatever you want. Then you can do, like, I guess what's considered a director's cut. I don't know, but you're gonna seriously cut the legs out under the franchise. We already had a Joker movie rated R. We already had a Harley Quinn movie rated R. So you continue to use these characters in this manner, you're going to cut the legs out from their being successful with general audiences. And of course, that's the name of the game. I don't have the copy here, but James Gunn has gone on Twitter saying, and I'm going to paraphrase because I don't have the tweet in front of me, but he said that basically Warner Brothers gave him carte blanche. They said no character is off the table as far as deaths. And I personally find it hard to believe that Harley Quinn is up for that she's on the table, so to speak, because I think that, especially Margot Robbie, still wants things to do with the character. I don't really see them killing her off this early in the game, this kind of willy-nilly just killing her off in a Suicide Squad film. It could happen, and they could contrive some way to bring her back. I mean, of course, this is comics after all. But she's the one I would say is ironclad not going to get killed off. I would probably guess Captain Boomerang and maybe King Shark have some potential going forward. It's possible, maybe even Bloodsport, only because Idris Elba is such a big actor, you know what I mean? But yeah, that's interesting that supposedly all of them are still on the table. And I think a large segment of them are going to die because we didn't have as many characters, I don't think, in the first Suicide Squad film. This one, there are quite a number more. And you could kind of tell from the beginning, with characters like Killer Croc. I really didn't think Killer Croc was going to get killed off. I didn't think Captain Boomerang. I didn't think Katana. So in this case, when you have about 7 or 8 D-listers on the team, and make no mistake, they are D-listers because I can't even remember their names. You've got some B-listers like The Thinker and, Bloodsport, maybe I would even say is a B-lister. It is interesting to see that, they're freer now, I think, to kill off some of these characters. So let me know what you think. Who's going to get killed off in the Suicide Squad by James Gunn, coming to a theater near you? Who knows when? I don't know. We don't know at this point. All right, let's talk about Justice League. Of course, we were just talking about Harley Quinn. This is related. From Suicide Squad, originally, Jared Leto was cast as the Joker to be the DCEU's interconnected universe's Joker. Suicide Squad didn't do badly. People tend to forget, but there was not a huge popular response to Jared Leto's Joker. So the character kind of got sidelined, and the actor probably was considered out of the role. Well, now Zack Snyder, as we like to call him, Snack Zyder, is coming back with the Justice League. Now, can I just say something for a minute here? What is this with the Justice League film? What is this with Zack Snyder's Justice League film? Because he is making a completely different movie now than he was originally going to make. Joe Manganiello, or however you pronounce his name, he's coming back. I think the Lex Luthor actor, what's his name? Eisenberg. He's coming back, I think, and they're just going to build on this. Now, I'm starting to get a little I'm starting to feel a little bit like maybe this is a good thing, because I said before I like the original Justice League film. I'm one of like 3 people that admit it. The Joss Whedon Justice League film. I like it, and I don't make no apologies for it. If I like something, I'll tell you. I thought it was a good movie. But if Zack Snyder learned something from his experience on Man of Steel and Batman v Superman, and if he can take what he's learned, his lessons learned, on what he ruined, and can try to bring it back and make a cohesive whole out of those 2 pictures, it might be worth it. Like, for instance, everybody complained about the mass destruction in Man of Steel. It was mindless destruction for the sake of it. So he came back in Batman v Superman and tried to put context to that. That's why Batman was ticked off at him, because in the great battle there was casualties and so on and so forth. And he didn't do a very good job of tying those themes together. And I don't really honestly have much confidence that he can do so now. But if he has learned something, if he has the benefit of 2020 hindsight, he could be able to do something with this franchise and maybe finally tie it all together. Now, he's bringing in Jared Leto's Joker. This is probably going to be for a flashback. Some people have said maybe this is going to show him killing Robin, which of course would be kind of a dark place I'd expect Snack Snyder to go. I hope not, especially since they say that the Robin that was killed in his film was the Dick Grayson version. And everybody knows that's ridiculous. That's insane. Dick Grayson became Nightwing. And, Jason Todd was killed. There's no reason to mess that up. I would also hope that maybe they would find a place for Harley Quinn in this film, too. And you can kind of put their relationship in perspective. Of course, I think David Ayer wants to do his version of, his director's cut of the original Suicide Squad, and that might work more to his advantage than letting Snyder fix it up. But again, I don't know. I don't have much confidence in this. This is going to be a 4-part, I believe, miniseries on HBO Max, and I don't know. I guess at some point maybe they'll sell it, and maybe if they sell it, maybe I'd buy it just out of sheer curiosity. I never got the director's cut of Batman v Superman. From what I heard, there was like 1 or 2 little bits that kind of made the plot clearer. But again, that's kind of like putting lipstick on a sow. You know what I mean? That's not much of a help. Well, let me read the copy and we will get to this here. While he was definitely not part of the original cut, and yeah, going back to that for a second, this is how much power that Snack Snyder wields over Warner Brothers, that he can say, look, I want carte blanche. I want money. Give me millions. I'm going to make not only the Justice League movie, I'm going to make the Justice League movie Part 2, and I'm also going to throw in any other character my heart desires, broaden the story, make it bigger. That's basically what he's saying. I don't know where he got this pull. I know that there were insufferable fans of his that continued to, beat the drum. And, if you're a fan of his, then I don't begrudge you that. But again, there are a lot more deserving films that needed attention than this film, in my opinion. All right, so continuing on. The Hollywood Reporter has learned that Academy Award winner Jared Leto has now joined the cast of Zack Snyder's Justice League as the iconic DC Comics villain, the Joker, reprising his role from 2016's Suicide Squad. Despite initial reports and Snyder himself suggesting that not much work was needed to complete his version of the film, it appears as though he and HBO Max, who are overseeing all additional photography, have changed course and are now in the process of adding quite a bit of new content to the film-turned-miniseries. Like I said, I think he was originally promised a 2-part, a 2-picture deal with Justice League and Justice League 2. That's essentially what he's doing now. He's not just finishing that film. He's going to, bleed that film out a little more into a second part where he is, basically filming the second half. Reshoots are already underway with Ben Affleck as Batman, Ray Fisher's Cyborg, Amber Heard's Mira, and Leto all in the middle of filming new material, but no word on whether Henry Cavill's Superman, Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman, Jason Momoa's Aquaman, or Ezra Miller's Flash will join them at some point this month. All four are currently busy filming other projects, with Cavill working on The Witcher Season 2, Gadot shooting Red Notice, Momoa filming Season 2, and Miller recently having starred in Fantastic Beasts 3. According to previous reports, HBO Max has allotted approximately $70 million to complete Snyder's cut, including costs to finish, VFX, and additional photography. It was believed reshoots would only span about a week or so, but considering they've already been filming for 2 weeks, plus at the time of this posting, looks like fans may be getting a lot more than they asked for, quite possibly a considerably different film to the one Snyder originally envisioned. Whether or not these changes will provide a more definitive conclusion to Snyder's chapter of DC films, or if it'll leave the door open for more adventures down the line, remains to be seen. Jeff Johns and John Berg will reportedly not receive producer credits on the Snyder Cut. Zack Snyder's Justice League will debut as a 4-episode event series on HBO Max in 2021, and will later also be available to stream and presumably purchase in its entirety as a full-length, super extended feature film. Question: why don't they put this up at the movies if they're putting this much effort into it? Whatever he already spent on it, plus $70 million, has gotta, if it wasn't for the state of the world right now, it has to beg the question, why don't you put this in theaters? Do you think there's going to be enough people wanting to come and see the Zack Snyder version after we already seen the storyline, more or less, in Justice League, in the Joss Whedon Justice League? Apparently he's changing enough where it's not going to be the same film at all anymore. All right, so there you have it. Everybody said Jared Leto was not going to be back as the Joker. I knew he was, although I wouldn't have picked it in this, but I would have guessed he would have got into another Harley Quinn movie or something. But we shall see. We shall see how it goes. And finally, before I forget again, I thought that was the last. No, there's another story. We've got the Uncharted film starring Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg. We got our first image of Tom Holland as Nathan Drake from the popular video game series Uncharted, and he actually does look pretty good there. And honestly, I don't see the casting of this film at all. I don't see the casting in Tom Holland. He looks a lot more mature here, but honestly, he looks like he should be playing the 14-year-old version from the flashbacks. He doesn't look or seem at all like Nathan Drake as we've experienced him in the games. I honestly don't play a lot of video games, but I've played all the Uncharted games plus the spin-off, 5 games altogether. And, Tom Holland would have been the last person I'd have expected to be playing that role. And Mark Wahlberg as Sully, again, I don't see it, and I don't really have much excitement or enthusiasm for this film, given the casting. But I don't know. I could be wrong. Video game movies are very difficult to pull off. And this is my casting. If I could have the casting process. Of course, Nathan Fillion was born to play Nathan Drake. Now, I wasn't aware of this, but he actually auditioned for the role, I guess a couple of years ago, by doing this is what actors did, at least 10 years ago. They would audition for these movies by making their own short film. I remember Thomas Jane did this with The Punisher. Well, this was after the fact, though. I mean, he already had done a Punisher movie, but he wanted to make a sequel, and of course they went another way, and I think that movie was even worse. The Punisher really hasn't been realized well. Well, there's the John Barenthal version. I'll give them that. Although I wasn't even totally a fan of that, but Punisher's tough. Anyway, I digress. Nathan Fillion should have gotten this role, and he even, campaigned for it by doing a short film, which I haven't seen yet. I've got to see this. I got to sit and watch it. And also, I would have cast James Remar, or Ramar. I'm not sure how you pronounce his name, to be honest with you, as Sully. He looks like a drop-dead Sully. I mean, come on. All he has to do is gritty up his voice a little bit. Come on, kid, we gotta get to the airplane. I mean, come on. I'm sure he can do that. He's a talented actor. I'm sure he can handle it. He plays Gamby on Black Lightning, if you're not familiar with this actor. But he looks exactly like the character from the video game. And again, why is it so difficult for casting directors and the studios and stuff to see right in front of them? I mean, this is like no-brainer casting. This is no-brainer casting. And yet they went with Mark Wahlberg? I mean, I don't see him as sort of a, verging on senior citizen level sort of posh guy. I just don't see it. And, of course, the same thing with Tom Holland. I mean, Tom Holland is great as Spider-Man. I've never said otherwise. He does a pretty good job, and he fills that kind of role well, but he doesn't really seem like he's up to being the sort of 35-year-old world-weary explorer type. So again, I don't know. I honestly don't know how this will go. It's, again, reality versus expectations. When I heard an Uncharted movie was going to be made, this is what popped into my head. This is what I wanted to see. And I think anybody and their brother would probably have gone with this casting if you put the photos of these actors on the table with the ones of the actors they actually cast, and then showed them what the characters look like from the video game. But again, this is a day and age when we should be thankful that they didn't race change these characters. They didn't make one a woman, you know what I mean? So it's just always going to be a problem trying to get Hollywood, I think, to, unless you get the right people in charge. Kevin Feige did a great job casting the original Marvel movies, So it depends how close the director, the producer is to the source material, I suppose. But I don't know. Do you have any hope for the Uncharted film? Do you think that this is going to be a success with Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg, or do you prefer my casting, James Remar and Nathan Fillion? Let me know what you think in the comments below. And we are coming on 11:30 p.m., so I shall let you go if you're watching this live to Betty Bye with you, or you can finish watching the Sunday Night Football. Looks like the game is still going on here. I've got it on, and I have not let it distract me this time. Usually when I'm doing a video, it's TV off, but not this time. 34-24, it looks like the Seahawks are winning with 3 minutes left in the game, so be sure to check that out. Be sure you like, share, and subscribe. We're doing great service here in picking up subscribers. I want to thank everybody who subscribed. I want to remind you to check out the Adventures of Bullets Bourbon Private Eye, link in the description below. And check out our Twitter page, where you can keep up with all the latest goings-on of one Johnny Torch. So, until next we meet, this is Johnny Torch reminding you once again, keep the flame burning brightly, and I'll be with you again real soon. Nighty-night.